Hello, my name is Jamison Fott, and I am the author and publisher of MuskogeePolitico.com, where I've written about politics, news, and conservative views since 2008. The COVID-19 pandemic has dramatically changed how candidates and campaigns are able to meet voters this year. Gone are the pie suppers, the candidate forums, even door knocking by and large. I wanted to provide a platform for the three Republican candidates for Muskogee County Sheriff to reach voters and residents in Muskogee County, and so back on June 4th, I asked my readers to submit questions for the candidates. I received numerous responses with great questions. After compiling these into 7 questions, I reached out to the candidates and asked them to submit their responses. So the first ever MuskogeePolitico.com candidate video forum was born. This is the result. Candidates Michael Mahan and Jeff Smith graciously participated. Candidate Andy Simmons was unable to meet the deadline due to a death in the family. Our condolences to him and his family. Each of these candidates have websites or social media pages with more information about their campaigns. Be sure to do your due diligence in researching before you cast your vote. With recent events in this race, it is almost certain that one of these 3 men will become the next Muskogee County Sheriff. It is my hope that Muskogee County voters and residents will find this information helpful and useful as they determine who should carry the badge in Muskogee County for the next 4 years. Let's get things started. Random draw determined that candidate Michael Mahan will go first. We will alternate who goes first on each question. Both candidates will give opening and closing statements in addition to answering the 7 questions they are presented with. And so we're going to start off opening statements. First, Michael Mahan, and then Jeff Smith.
Hi, my name is Michael Mahan, and I'm a candidate for Muskogee County Sheriff. I want to tell you just a little bit about my family, my background, and my experience. In 1991, I joined the Muskogee Police Department as a reserve police officer. And during that time, I attended Northeastern State University, where I graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice and a double minor in psychology and business. I was fortunate enough that I was able to graduate with honors and graduated summa cum laude. During my time of service with the police department in 1994, I became a full-time Muskogee police officer where I served until 2016 when I retired. My time at the police department, and during that time I was promoted to the rank of sergeant and served as a patrol division sergeant. I also served as a field training officer, the police community relations director, and also as the public information officer responsible for all media that went out from the police department. In 2016, I joined the Tulsa International Airport Police Department, and I served there until 2018 when I was given the opportunity to come back home, an opportunity that I had longed for, and was able to join the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office and was hired there as the Chief Deputy. Since that time, I have been promoted to the rank of Under Sheriff and currently serve as second in command of the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office. I met my wife, Karen, back in the early 90s when we were working together at Dillard's, and we will be celebrating 25 years of marriage come this July, and something we're very excited about. We have 7 children together: Seth, Chloe, Lexi, Cade, Jaden, Brooklyn, and Gentry. And if you lost count during that time, that's 3 boys and 4 girls. We are a Christian family. We have a strong faith in God, and we believe that this running for sheriff is something He wanted us to do. It's a path He put us on, and so we see it as being obedient to Him and going down this path and seeking the office of sheriff. So thank you for the opportunity to introduce myself to you.
And now opening statements by Jeff Smith.
Hello, my name is Jeff Smith. I'm a candidate for Muskogee County Sheriff. I was born and raised right here in Muskogee, and I've lived in the Muskogee County area my entire life. I started my law enforcement career with the Creek Nation Light Horsemen before getting a job at the Muskogee County Jail. There I was a jailer, a shift supervisor, dispatch, and dispatch supervisor. In 2002, I moved over to the Sheriff's Office as court security, and shortly thereafter was promoted to field deputy, where I served as field training officer, a reserve academy coordinator, and a basic instructor for the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office. In 2007, I moved up to criminal investigator, and in 2008, I took the Criminal Investigations Academy and served there as a criminal investigator for the Sheriff's Office until 2009, at which point the county commissioners offered me the emergency management director job. I took that job but wanted to maintain my commission and my certification with the Muskogee County Sheriff's Patrol, which I did. I have served Muskogee County and the community for over 20 years, and I look forward to being your sheriff.
All right, now here we go into the first question. Funding, or lack thereof, has seemed to be a common frustration with recent sheriffs, particularly when dealing with reverberating fiscal impacts from this year. How do you plan to run the sheriff's office in a way that accomplishes what is needed to be done with less money? First question will go to Jeff Smith.
With disasters such as the 2019 flooding and the 2020 viruses, we are definitely going to see an impact to an office that is supported mostly by sales tax. However, in order to be good stewards of the public monies, I think we can address several things. One, we can look at our budgets. We can see if there's ways that we can save money or lessen expenses in order to put the most money possible towards the safety and security of our deputies and our citizens. We can also use existing programs which are already in place, like Muskogee County Sheriff's Patrol, which is filled with many men and women who are dedicated to Muskogee County to fill the gaps in coverage when needed.
Now the same question, back to Michael Mahan.
So funding is always a hot button topic when it comes to the sheriff's office, and I think there are several different ways that you can deal with funding. Obviously, there have been funding cuts. We are always looking for innovative ways to try to make our budget last a little bit longer, and a lot of that is just simple day-to-day cuts, looking for ways to cut costs. Another way that we have been able to produce a little bit of extra with the Sheriff's Department is through the use of grants, and grants are a huge thing right now. We have been able to secure several grants recently and have been able to use that to upgrade equipment. Our deputies now have new vests, they have new guns, and we are very proud of what that has been able to do for our agency. In terms of funding, the main concern always with me with funding is the fact that I feel like we need more deputies on the street, and so we're going to have to look for innovative ways to find different areas in the budget that we can cut in order to put more deputies on the street. I think it's extremely important. We have a lot of small towns that do not have police departments. We have Braggs, we have the town of Oaktal, we have several locations that simply do not have their own police department. So it's important for us to look for ways to trim the budget and be able to use that extra funding to put more people and more deputies on the street. And I think there's several ways to do that. As I said before, we can do it with grants. We've done it with grants, and we can continue to do so. And so that's one of the main ideas that I want to look into, is using those types of things to fund, looking for innovative ways to cut the budget in some areas so that we can work together in others and put more deputies in the field. I think that it will be important. We'll have weekly meetings with the county commissioners to discuss ideas on our budget and on better ways to serve the public by making the most of the amount of money that we've been given. Thank you.
This next question goes to Michael Mahan. In one of the big news stories from earlier this year, nearly 30 county sheriffs across the state signed sanctuary county declarations stating that they will not enforce unconstitutional laws, particularly dealing with the right to keep and bear arms. What are your thoughts on this, and do you intend to implement similar declarations or policies should you be elected to office?
So when it comes to the question of sanctuary counties and whether Muskogee should be declared one, I don't have any issue at all declaring Muskogee County a sanctuary county should that need arise. I think right now in the state of Oklahoma, anytime anyone tries to, including the federal government, sort of overstep their reach, I think it's our responsibility as responsible citizens and myself as a constitutional conservative to be able to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, this is something we need to look at a little bit closer. So in terms of that, I don't have an issue with it. Obviously, the constitutional county situation involves the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms. Huge topic for us. I personally believe that without that Second Amendment, we're not able to in any way enforce or maintain any other of the amendments in the Bill of Rights or any other things in the Constitution. So I think it is vitally important that we maintain that Second Amendment and maintain the right to keep and bear arms. The founding fathers, their original mission, their original meaning for putting that in there was to protect us from the overreach of a government. They had lived under a monarchy, and they saw the fallacies of that, and they saw the wrongness of that, and so they wanted to make sure that the people had the ability to keep and bear arms. I think that is a fundamental right, and yes, I will do everything within my power and within the power given to me as the sheriff to protect those rights, whether that be through the Second Amendment or any other where the government has a tendency or has had tendencies in the past to overreach. Yes, we will. And I've been quoted on this before. If you read the Muskogee Now article back when we were dealing with COVID, there were some questions involving whether or not we would be enforcing, making arrests, or anything like that. And my statement was the same then as it is now, that we're here to protect the constitutional rights of the people. I've been on record saying that, and I'll say it again. I go on record now. Our number one job is to protect the constitutional rights of the people. Thank you.
And the same question goes to Jeff Smith.
I would institute a declaration as soon as I take office. Also, as peace officers in the state of Oklahoma, we took an oath to support, obey, and uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Oklahoma. We are not bound to enforce any laws that are unconstitutional. I myself am a gun owner. I carry a gun. I also have my Self-Defense Act license. I also believe in open carry. I have carried a gun for all of my career, and I still today carry a concealed weapon whenever I'm out. I look at the Second Amendment as part of our state. It is not just something that we do. The Supreme Court has had numerous cases where they ruled in favor of the Second Amendment, and I think that should speak for itself across the country.
This question also goes to Jeff Smith. What experience do you have in managing a large budget and staff? And do you have experience in obtaining local, state, or federal grants?
I've got the opportunity to do the budgeting for my office for the past 11 years. I have a working and intricate knowledge of the Muskogee County budgeting process, and I've been very active in that process. As far as leading, I was a jail supervisor, I was a dispatch supervisor, and I've led multiple task force from Muskogee County across the state. As for federal and state grants, we receive those annually. We apply for many grants from all different agencies, including tribes, federal government, Department of Justice, FEMA, and the state of Oklahoma. We also receive grants from local businesses who offer grants regularly, and we assist other agencies in filing for those grants.
Now to Michael Mahan.
So my experience in budget and in running a large organization, the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office employs close to 90 employees, and so we have a large amount of people in a large amount of divisions. We have the Muskogee County City Detention Facility, we have court security officers, we have field deputies, we have an office staff, and so we have just a vast array of different people. So my experience in managing them comes from my time at the sheriff's office, and I think you'll see an agency right now that is steeped in integrity and that has a group of hardworking men and women. The answer in terms of grants is yes, I do have experience in writing grants. I just obtained a grant the last couple of weeks for $58,000 for our response to COVID-19. That's a huge thing for us. I was able to write that grant, and we were given the money, and so we're going to use that to make improvements. As I spoke about earlier, we'll use that to make improvements at the jail. We will use it to purchase more equipment for our deputies in the field, and we're going to put that money to very good use. So yes, I do have experience writing grants. I am learning daily and studying daily on ways to write grants and ways to administer grants, and I'm currently in the process right now of studying that. So I think grants are a great idea, and we've seen the positive influence, the positive impact that they have had on the sheriff's office, and that is something I will continue to pursue. Thank you.
This question goes to Michael Mahan. Civil asset forfeiture allows police departments to seize property belonging to citizens based on a suspicion that the property was used in or was the proceeds of a crime. Back in 2016, the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office generated national headlines when it seized $53,000 in cash from a Burmese Christian rock band after a traffic stop. funds which were then returned when the DA dropped the case. What is your position on civil asset forfeiture?
My position on civil asset forfeiture is, I think it depends on how you look at it. I think you've got to take the average situation, look at it, and determine whether or not a civil asset forfeiture is in order. I think the situation you're referring to, obviously, that was not a situation where those assets should have been seized. It appeared that there wasn't enough probable cause to do that. And so the way I look at civil asset forfeiture is, yes, it is something that can be done and in certain cases should be done, but it should only be done if there's probable cause to believe that the individual involved is using whatever asset is being seized in furtherance of a crime. And I think that's the most important issue we have to look at. Taking it just for the sake of taking it, no. Taking it because that individual or that group is using that item to further a criminal enterprise, then yes, I don't have any issue with civil asset forfeiture, but it must be done professionally and it must be done with an eye on integrity. Thank you.
And now the same question to Jeff Smith.
Civil asset forfeiture is a very good tool for law enforcement. It does require a close working relationship between the sheriff's office and the district attorney. We need to have these conversations with the district attorney early and often so that we know exactly where we stand and what the district attorney would like to see during these civil asset forfeiture processes. The thing to remember is these civil asset forfeiture processes are not meant for misdemeanor crimes that we mostly see locally. These are large-scale organized crime events such as drug trafficking, human trafficking, chop shops, things of that sort.
This question goes to Jeff Smith. There seems to have been some issues in recent years with the county jail, including a couple of inmate deaths. What plans or reforms do you intend to implement, specifically dealing with improved safety and service?
Having started my career at Muskogee County Jail as a jailer, I think training is definitely key. Annual training is supplied, but we need more of it to include suicide prevention, conflict resolution, and self-defense. We also need to work on programs for better detention officer retention so that we can keep those trained people there at our jail. Accountability stretches from the top to the bottom on everything that occurs there at the county jail. Therefore, we need to work closely with each other to make sure that it's a safer environment for not just the inmates, but for also the jailers.
Same question to Michael Mahan.
So my plans for the Muskogee County Jail would obviously include more infrastructure improvements. We're already seeing that right now. I spoke earlier about the COVID-19 grant, and several tens of thousands of dollars of that are going to be used to make improvements in our jail, in the medical facilities, and in other areas. I think in terms of the jail, what you have to look at is what type of employee that we are mainly bringing in there. And a lot of times we get younger employees who may not have as much life experience as, say, an older employee. And so what we're going to do is we're going to, in addition to just giving them the initial jail school, which everyone is required to go through, we're also going to give them additional training, whether it be monthly training, seminars, or whether we do it through, or maybe a combination of both, internet training. There are so many available opportunities for training just over the internet, and an individual can do that while they're on the clock. They can come in and log in, and it's going to keep track of that training. It's going to see what they did. And so I think that's another way, and I think that's something that you'll start seeing some major improvements at the jail once that training's implemented, once those infrastructure changes take place. And the county jail, yes, can it be a difficult task to take on? Yes, but I'm perfectly ready and capable of taking that task on and making it safer and ensuring its main priority, which is to keep the citizens safe from those who would try to do them harm. Thank you.
This question goes to Michael Mahan. Are there any kinds of new technology or strategies that you would like to utilize in order to provide better services?
In terms of new technology or strategies, I think in terms of technology, you can look at our drone program. The grant that we've recently received will be used to purchase a new drone. I myself am what's referred to as a UAS, Unmanned Aircraft System Pilot, and I'm FAA certified. I've been through the training to fly a drone commercially. So we're looking at now being able, with the grant, to purchase a new drone that has built-in FLIR, meaning forward-looking infrared. And what we can do with that, basically that's a fancy word for night vision. And we'll be able to use the drone during the day, during the night. It can be used in any number of tasks. It can be used to approach a situation that could be too dangerous for an officer to approach. It can be used for search and rescue and numerous other technologies. I was very fortunate that I was able to speak at the first ever unmanned aircraft system conference in Oklahoma City, and was invited by a representative of the FAA to present Muskogee County's program. And so that was something I was quite proud of. We were there with the likes of the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and many other federal and state law enforcement agencies. And I was able to present on behalf of the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office our drone program. So that's something I'd definitely like to see improved and grow. In terms of strategies, I've talked with people in these smaller communities about starting neighborhood watch, citizen patrol type activities. I think that's something with the proper training that could see us do a dramatic decrease in our burglaries, knowing that there are citizens out there who are watching and who are willing to report that information to our agency and hopefully provide us with a good witness. I'd also like to see other programs implemented in terms of just community policing. I was trained, went to Irving, Texas, and received training on Coffee with a Cop. Obviously, we'd call it Coffee with a Deputy, but that's another program that we can get into where we can go into communities and, hey, just set up a little place at a little coffee shop, have people come in, talk about what's going on in their area, and that allows us to get that one-on-one communication with them and allows us to see what's going on in their area and break down a lot of those barriers that we've been seeing so much of lately. So that's my ideas in terms of implementing those types of strategies. Thank you.
And the same question to Jeff Smith.
Technologies are always valuable to law enforcement, especially field deputies. Having the handheld breathalyzers would be ideal. Also putting radars in all of the cars so that they can better perform the proactive enforcement out in the rural areas. Strategies I would like to implement would be a anti-crime task force with not just the rural jurisdictions, but also with our neighboring counties to better combat the violence and the property crimes and drug crimes that happen in our areas. Instead of focusing just on one particular crime, we would focus on the full gambit of crimes to better support our community.
Now this question goes to Jeff Smith first. With the recent spotlight nationwide on policing procedures and techniques, are there any specific changes or reforms you would pursue if elected?
I think it would be key to emphasize ethics standards and accountability throughout the Sheriff's Office. Reach out to our community and get more community involvement through outreach programs and regular community meetings between the citizens, the community leaders, and the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office. I would also like to institute a peer review board for all use of force from Muskogee County Sheriff's Office, and at least have annual trainings on cultural diversity, proper use of custody and control techniques, as well as more training on less lethal alternatives.
And now the same question to Michael Mahan.
So yeah, we have definitely seen a lot of changes here, especially recently in policing, and I think that you have to kind of take a step back and look at what we call in policing totality of the circumstances. We have to look at all aspects of what is taking place in police work, and I think in so many cases there is sort of a misunderstanding. There's a breakdown between what police procedures are and how they're followed and what the average citizen sees. And I think that as the police community relations officer for the Muskogee Police Department, I've kind of got a unique perspective on this. As the public information officer, I had to go over the first ever, to my knowledge, captured on camera officer-involved shooting where an officer was forced to shoot an individual that pointed a gun at him. So I sort of have a unique perspective on that. I think in terms of this, though, what we've got to do is start breaking down all these barriers, and I spoke a little bit earlier about it, and I think there's so many strategies that we can come to look at, to implement. The Coffee with a Cop I've already spoken about. There are many others. I would love to hold just monthly community meetings to see what's going on in different areas, so that we don't become so removed from each other that we almost dehumanize one another. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing right now. So I think getting out in the community, working with individuals, possibly working with them on neighborhood watches, on citizen patrols, and these types of things. I know I mentioned it before, but I think anything that brings us together as a police department with our community will begin to break down so many of the barriers that we're seeing right now. And yes, those have been in place, but I think we've got to take a whole fresh look at it and make sure that we are out there engaging with each other. And the basic understanding that the police are the community, or in this case, deputies are the community, and the community are the deputies. We have to come together and see each other for what we are, see the needs of the citizens, and them see our needs. And so I think that I'm perfectly capable of helping bridge those gaps, and look forward to the opportunity to do just that. Thank you.
Well, we are almost done with this candidate forum. Both candidates are now going to give their closing statements, and continuing with the order that we started at the beginning, we'll begin with Michael Mahan and conclude with Jeff Smith.
So in closing, I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to get to present some ideas, and thank you for the opportunity for asking the questions and giving me an opportunity to answer them. I just want to come to you very simply and just say that I am just I'm an average guy. I'm not a politician. Running for office is certainly not something that I had ever foreseen me doing, but this is something that I feel like is something that is worthy of pursuit, the position of Sheriff of Muskogee County. I want you to know that as your current undersheriff, this office is being run with integrity, with an eye on integrity, an eye on professionalism, and that is something that I want to continue to do. I did not come to this decision lightly. As I said earlier, the world of politics is something that is very unique, and I've learned a lot, but I'm definitely not a politician and don't see myself ever being one. But I have enjoyed the chance to get to go out and meet so many of you, and to have been given this opportunity has been an amazing time for us. And just thank you again. I would be honored to earn your vote as sheriff. I don't expect anything, but I would be honored to earn your vote. And I want you to know that if you vote for me and if you do place me in there, that you will always be welcome at the sheriff's office. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter whether you're wealthy or middle class or poor, or it does not matter. If there's something that the sheriff's office can do to help you, we want you to come in, and I will sit down and I will personally meet with you one-on-one, and we will discuss strategies and come up with an idea of something that can help you. So thank you very much for this opportunity. God bless you, and God continue to bless Muskogee County. Thank you.
And now Jeff Smith with his closing statement.
First, I'd like to thank you all. I have had the unique opportunity from starting from jailer, working my way all the way up to criminal investigator to an administrator at the Muskogee County Emergency Management. I'm qualified, dedicated, and I've spent 20 years of my life dedicated to the citizens of Muskogee County, and I look forward to spending 20 more serving Muskogee County as your sheriff. Thank you. Have a good evening.
I would like to thank Mr. Smith and Mr. Mahan for participating in this candidate forum. I'd also like to thank you, the person on the other side of this screen, for watching and taking seriously your responsibility as a citizen and voter by informing yourself about these candidates. The primary election is Tuesday, June 30th. Early voting will be open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Thursday, June 25th, and Friday, June 26th, and from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, June 27th. If no candidate receives a majority of the votes cast, the runoff election will be held on Tuesday, August 25th, between the top two places. I hope that you found this forum to be helpful. Be sure and like MuskogeePolitico on Facebook, bookmark MuskogeePolitico.com on your favorite browser, and be sure to sign up for periodic email updates with the latest in politics, news, and conservative views. My name is Jameson Fott, author and publisher of MuskogeePolitico.com. Good night, and God bless.